Who were you before you lost your wild self?
That's what we're helping you explore on the Tend Her Wild podcast.
Through questions and tools around how best to listen to your inner voice,
rewild ourselves, and live the most authentic life where we thrive instead of survive.
I'm Betsy.
And I'm Kate.
And we're so glad you've joined us for this episode. Hello, Tend Her Wild podcast listeners. We're here with a special guest today that we're excited to have a conversation about yoga, one of my favorite topics. So we're welcoming Uma Subramaniam. So Uma, her early experiences with yoga started when she was just 10 with her father. And she strictly adhered to traditional yogic principles that included practicing before sunrise on an empty stomach. She's an arts graduate with a specialization in English literature, and she later went on to pursue a degree in international business. She worked as an internal auditor, which I think this is so interesting, for many years at one of the top banks in the U.S., and she also lived in the U.S. for over a decade. So she was born in India, and then she moved back to India in 2008, and it's then that she went back to yoga for practice and also decided to teach. She has a master's degree in yogic sciences, a master's degree in Vedanta, which is a philosophy of yoga, and she is a Yoga Alliance registered teacher. We are so excited to have her here. She's got a ton of different experiences in different schools of yoga and has really watched the yoga industry bloom, not only in the US, but also in India. And so we are excited. Uma and I are starting a teacher training with our colleague, Kimberly, in January of 2026. And so we were like, let's have a conversation about this whole connection of yoga to India and growing up in India and bringing it to the US. And so we're so grateful that you're here today with us. Uma, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. Namaste. Thank you for having me. It's always fun. Just remember, I'll keep on talking, so keep holding me back. It feels like I have so many decades of experience to talk about, but I'm looking forward to your questions and the discussion ahead. So Beautiful. Thank you, Betsy. Thank you, Kate.
Yes. Well, we're so happy to have you here. And we always like to start, Uma, with reflection by you of your first 10 years. Any momentous things that happen, any early experiences that jump out at you? And certainly we'd love to hear about growing up in India and what your life was like during those early years.
Yeah. Even now, actually, my daughter also keeps asking, how was I as a child? It's so nice to hear about it from your mother or grandparents when they say, oh my God, isn't that same girl? Look at her. You used to do this. You used to do that. It's some of the funnest things in life to recollect. And so I must say thank you for this opportunity. But the first 10 years, I was definitely in India. I was in the south of India, a city called Chennai. It's now called Chennai. I mean, that's the original name. But then when the British were there, it was called Madras. I think the Madras plaid is from, that name. But yeah, we went back to the regional name Chennai. And that's where I grew up. Chennai was beautiful, close to the sea. And I don't remember too much, but I've seen lots of pictures of me on the beach with my father. So I think I was a beach bum for the first few years. And then we moved further inland. And there I also remember hot summers and really wet monsoons. It was a carefree time, and until I had to go to school. But I remember school also, went to small schools and, remember the uniforms we had to wear. Here everyone gets to wear whatever they want, right? So in India, the school children wear uniforms, you know, the teachers. Oh my God, I have so much to talk about. And somewhere in there, during the first 10 years is when I started yoga with my father.
Was he
And
was
as
he
we,
a yogi or is he a
yeah,
practitioner or a teacher? Like, what
yeah,
was his
yeah,
relationship to you?
yeah. So he started with his own personal interest. He was always interested right from when he was young, also, and he practiced, for his pursuits of, um, philosophy, and at the same time using the body to achieve this idea of understanding yourself, the inner self. That was always the quest, and that's why he started. And then once I once they realized that I had breathing trouble, I would get allergies and it would go into spasms of almost asthmatic, conditions. And so he wanted to help me with strengthen my lungs, breathing system, particular respiratory system. And so I started yoga. And oh, it was very tough, I remember, because I didn't want to wake up that early. Secondly, I wanted food as soon as I woke up. And none of that was happening. And I have to be still, absolutely still in the postures and breathe. All three was so difficult for me. I was like, the
Oh.
Tasmanian devil running around all the time the moment I woke up. And then all three things were so difficult for me. So then, yeah, that's what I remember when I was young, growing up and having so much fun at school, everywhere. And also being brought up in a very traditional way with music, with chants, rituals, ceremonies, festivals, colorful, clothes, family get-togethers all the time for everything, good and bad. People will die and we will all get together. There, somebody will get married and we will all get together. It was always a huge affair for everything, and
Did you have
that's how
siblings?
I
Did you have
remember. Of course, yeah. I have a brother. I have a younger brother, and we did, of course, grow up together. But he was the quieter kind. I was the wilder one. So,
Or the
yeah.
Tasmanian devil. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so you didn't choose to study yoga um, in sort of a linear way at a young age. You actually chose banking.
Oh, yeah. You mean like that? Yeah.
How
I
did
mean,
this
so.
happen? I mean, I think of you as this penultimate yoga teacher, and
Mhm.
I've been around you and taken classes
Yeah.
from you. So, but you chose a much different path to begin with. How did that happen, Uma?
True. So I was learning so many things from my father, and whether it is English language, whether it was Hindi, whether it was, music, traditional classical music, yoga, was like all the time I was with him and my mother, and I wanted to get out and see the world. So I wanted to learn newer things, and I wanted to meet more people. So as soon as I got a chance, I got into martial arts, and then that kind of um, groomed me for further things in the world. And I worked in India's national newspapers and advertising. So I got out and I got to see a lot in that small time period and in India. Then my husband and I, we got married and we moved to the US. At that time, that's when I picked up internal audit. I went to school, 2-year colleges, community colleges, right? So I couldn't work when we first moved to the US, and so I was studying. And again, I studied so many different things that I couldn't when I was in India. I took a little bit of travel and tourism, restaurant management. I took a lot of programming, classes. Then I took international business. So those were the things I kind of, took courses in and took certifications and diplomas and associate degrees in. And when we got the green card, then I joined the bank.
Okay.
And, I interviewed for a position, and that's how it just happened. So I had some experience in the bank in technical consulting, and with that uh, operational background, I was able to join internal audit. So, a lot of things just kept happening one after the other, and there was no particular reason to join internal audit at all, but it just so happened that, I had some experience, and so I started. Then we had the kids. Yeah. So internal audit was just one of the things, you know. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about the idea of internal audit and kind of the connection to yoga in a way too, right? You said your father taught you kind of
True.
yoga.
True. True. Yeah. Yeah.
Internal.
Um,
So you were how old
right.
when you moved to the US? So you
I
married.
was
And by the
23.
way,
Yeah.
was it an arranged marriage? Because I know that's such a common thing in India. I'm curious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was an
And
arranged marriage.
they look at do they look at your astrology and how you match up? Like, can you just give us a brief like how does that happen in
How
India?
are
Because I know
how are
it's
you
so
matched?
common. Yeah. How do they match you?
Yeah. So I don't know if that happens anymore now, but at that time, it feels like a really long time ago, 1990. you know so yeah, when um you know uh, people move out of their villages and hometowns, and they go to different parts of the country, but you still want to keep in touch with traditions, then you will look for similar families with similar backgrounds, similar language, similar cultural and family traditions. And so usually, how do you find this person, this family could be in Mumbai, could be in Delhi, could be in some other place. So how do you get in touch with everybody from your same background? Is usually put an ad in the newspaper. I have a daughter of marriageable age, classified. Okay. And then the same from the boys' side, or whoever is ready for marriage would put advertisement classified ads that just like jobs wanted, or jobs available. You would say, yes, I have a child ready for marriage, and I'm looking for such and such things, with the same background, same upbringing, same, part of the state, of the country, same language and stuff like that, educational qualifications, stuff like that. And then the talks start. So the parents will talk first, and then they will see, oh, okay, I know such and such a person. Oh, so you are that person's friend. Okay. So that comes at the first level, and then eventually it will come to where the parents will meet the bride and the groom to be, or the boy and the girl. And then finally the boy and the girl get to meet also, and then they will also talk about their interests and their likings and their plans, next 5 years, next 10 years, like that. And if everything works well at all levels, then they say yes, why not, let's
Wow.
you know
So
get
was
married.
there a connection? Was this your husband, the first one that you got connected with? And
No, I had met quite a few people.
I love that about you.
She's a Tasmanian devil. She already said that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So had he, he
Okay.
had met a lot of people too. And so it doesn't always happen immediately. And we have a lot of freedom to choose, even though it comes through the family. It's just like setting up, for a date.
Yeah.
Instead here, this is a little more with clear intent of settling down. If
So
you
if
would like to
you
say
had
that.
met your husband Bala, even though parents would have been like, "Yes, this looks like a really good match," and you would have been like, "No, this isn't good for me." Did you have that kind of freedom? Like
Absolutely,
okay, so
yeah,
it's not like the
absolutely,
movies where it's like you don't know the person before you walk down the
yeah.
aisle, and suddenly it is sort of a
No.
similar way we might set up friends of family and
Yeah.
yeah.
100% here, except a friend setting up, the parents, the whole family gets involved. Uncles and aunts, grandparents and the parents and, the siblings, everyone, finds out a little bit about each other of the family, and it all, And again, it does vary. Like in the movies, sometimes it's very strict. Sometimes it's a betrothal that happens when the children are not even born.
Mm.
Oh,
They'll
wow.
say, yeah, if I have a child, I'm going to give that child in marriage to you, your child. So that comes up in the family. That was long time ago. And in the villages maybe it still happens, and if the children decide they're not going to marry each other, then the parents will lose shame. But even that has been overcome these days about
So,
practicality.
Uma,
Yeah.
you have two adult children because I've
Yes.
met one of them, but they were raised in the U.S. because, of course, they were born in the U.S. And
Right.
yeah, and they're both living in the U.S. Do you ever tell them that you're going to arrange a marriage for them?
Not once, never. Not at all. It's a tradition. I wouldn't say it's a lost tradition, but it sometimes it's very practical. And a lot of people these days, when say early 2000s, it became kind of, I wouldn't say a fashion, but it became a thing where everybody said we are tired of arranged marriages. I'm going to marry whom I choose, and then now I think we are coming back where people are trying to choose and they are not able to make up their minds, and they're
Yeah.
just waiting to see. Maybe if I had my parents take an interest, maybe I should check this out and see how this will work.
Sure, we have a lot of
Um,
reality TV too that has people
yeah,
fall in love blind, not seeing each other yet.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I also think, and this kind of ties into our conversation around yoga too. I mean, part of the reason we do yoga is to know ourselves more deeply, and it's a really hard task to know yourself. I mean, it's a lifelong
absolutely
path, and so something as monumental as choosing a partner or a spouse. Sometimes we don't know ourselves very well when we're 19, 20, 25, even 30. And so
true.
I understand that point of having other people who know us as well be a part of the process. I mean, it makes logical sense in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay,
right.
so I want to get to the part where you came to the US, you worked in banking, you had children, then you moved back to India. And then that's when you decided to begin to pursue yoga and go through all the training. So talk about that transition back. You'd been you'd been living in America, transitioning back to the homeland, and then
Yes.
reconnecting with such an ancient tradition.
Yeah.
I really want to know
Yeah.
the phase of your
Me
life.
Yeah. Right. And that's true. So by 2008, both the kids were born, and we had Tommy. I had already worked at the bank. Tommy is our dog. And, we were all living the life, normal Rockwell kind of life in
Mommy the dog. I love that.
Oh,
yeah. And we were in Charlotte, North Carolina, and but what happened was our parents were aging, and they couldn't come and visit us to spend time with the kids, or see them grow and stuff like that. And so then that's when we Bala and I decided that let's go back and live in India for a few years and give the children the experience, the education that we all had, the education meaning not just the school system, the entire village, the entire country, the entire, a nation works towards your education, and, the ability to move so easily between two countries was very, we wanted to take advantage of that, so we moved and started the kids started going to school there, and things were pretty much settled, and I didn't want to go back to corporate work because the kids were growing up, and Bala was really busy with his work in back in India, and so I said, okay, let's go back to school. Oh, I wanted to do yoga for myself, for I living in the US with kids and working was really exhausting for me, and I just wanted to kind of unwind. Um, and that's when I said, okay, let me take care of my health And so I took up yoga for myself. And within a year, I was so happy with the experience and how it helped my body physically and myself mentally, my mental space, with stress, with serious health issues like weight gain and cholesterol, high cholesterol, and extreme stress levels. All of that was solved by practicing yoga every day.
Yeah.
I would practice even the weekends. I said, I don't want that 1 day break, 1 day of rest. For me, being on the mat was the rest that I needed. And so it was every day. And after a year, I said, okay, I would really like to share this with friends, with other women like me. So it was not like I wanted to become a yoga teacher. You know, as soon as I realized that, I was good at it, it was more like this is something that is so important for so many women just like me who have children and who are struggling with, their own health, but still plodding through. So that's when I said, okay, and to share the knowledge of yoga, I know I should train myself a little bit more than just practice yoga and learn the asanas. So that's when I went for a master's degree where I could learn the philosophy, the history, and a lot more of the theory behind the practice. Including anatomy, physiology, and all that. That's when I took my master's degree, and that came in very handy. And around the same time, just during that time while I was in India, decided to start yoga studios in India. Started with one, and then we had six yoga studios. I worked with another very experienced yoga teacher, and we were really doing great with sharing the message of yoga, of good yoga, not just the asanas. That was our whole thing, and that's what we were doing.
Hi, I'm Sam, founder of the Local Hub. When I moved to Iowa City, I felt like a tourist, and I'm sure you can relate if you've ever moved somewhere new or just haven't explored your city in years. Supporting local has never been more important, and the Local Hub makes it simple. It's a community first way to uncover the local businesses, events, and hidden spots that make an area feel like home. If you're in the Iowa City area, you'll find us online, in print, and on social media, all designed to keep you in the loop about what's happening here. Visit thelocalhub-ic.com and start living like a local.
Can you share that with our listeners? Because I think that's really something you can teach us in this podcast. Having studied in India, growing up in India, starting yoga as a child, what is yoga at its most essence and inception? What is the purpose?
Mm. Yeah, that's a really important question, and I I don't know how to. I don't want to compare, you know, um, uh, uh, yoga as to what's going on now and how it was meant to be. But yoga is life. Yoga is every moment. Yoga tells you or helps you understand the purpose of life. At the very thing. See, we all do everything as if that's how it is meant to be. We are all brought up in a family. We grow up, we go to school, we play, we make friends. Then we grow up a little bit more. Then we go to colleges, we study, and then we still grow again a little bit more. And then we start working and making money, and again, buying a house, buying cars, and accumulating things that we feel is what everybody does and I should also be doing or we should be doing. It's almost like methodical. Everybody is doing almost the same things. Even if you say, I'm not going to an office in a corporate job and making money. I'm being an artist and I'm doing the right thing. And, that's what I feel I'm doing something different. Or there may be yet others saying that, I'm just going to roam around the earth and, do that. So, still, in the end, what I'm trying to say is How many people think, what is the purpose of life? We're all doing something. There's action all the time, one thing after the other. Different types of action, different types of people thinking this is what I should be doing, or people doing, making sure that I will never do that, but I will do something else. So all this is going. But then the deep down, the question is, when you're searching for this, when you're seeking something more and more that will please you, are you thinking, what is the purpose of life? We all know that when we grow old, we die. When we are born, what the only thing that is sure is we will die. We will not think of it when we are 5 or 10 or 15 or 25 or even when we are 30. Some things that we come across will let us know that, yeah, when you're born, you will die. That's the only sure thing, right? And so in this time, what is the purpose of your life? What are you supposed to do? Are you just supposed to grow and make money and have more children and then die? Or is there anything else we are meant to do, we're
Yeah.
supposed to do? So to me, that's what yoga will teach you.
I love
It's
this.
not something that I can talk to you immediately and say,
Yeah.
what is it that yoga tells you? But
I
this
love it.
answer,
You find it.
yes, yes,
What
you
I
will
love
find it through yoga.
is that
Yeah.
you didn't say yoga is downward facing dog.
No,
Because I think that's
definitely not.
what we see often
Mhm.
in the West now is this focus on the poses. And so you speaking so clearly that it's a technique or a tool or a discipline or really a lifestyle, a daily life, daily perspective is it takes you deeper, takes you into asking the real, meaningful questions of life, such as why am I here? And what am I here to
Right,
contribute? So it's such a
exactly,
beautiful answer.
Mhm.
exactly.
I have a deeper question. I would say in the last 20 years in the United States, yoga definitely reached a high in terms of, you know, people practicing, people opening studios, people training. Yoga became kind of like the hot thing for people to do. It sounds like that was also happening in India as you were opening studios. And so I want to know about that. And then the second piece to this question is why do you think there was such a push? Is there something about our lifestyle and this time in history that we really need this discipline? So I just want to know about what you noticed about the growth of yoga in India at the same time as happening in the US. And then why? Why did it grow so much?
Hmm. So, you did mention, the down dog. Despite everything that yoga actually is for, the very beginning is probably on the mat with the down dog. So that's where you start, and that is one of the reasons why yoga has become popular because people like to do things that are immediately tangible. So you cannot sit and think, what is the purpose of my life? Some people have, some people can, but not everyone. If I'm going to say, you don't have to do yoga on the mat, you can sit and analyze and find the answers about the purpose of your life by just thinking, then yeah, some people will, just lose it or they cannot even understand how do you do that. And so the beginning is always on the mat. And that's how I think yoga became popular because people realize that within half an hour of a good yoga practice with a good teacher, you can see your whole being transforms. Your physical body and your mental body and your pranic body and your psychic body transforms in that half an hour. And then that becomes your, what you're craving for, that the more you do it, the better you feel, or at least the time that you are on the mat, you feel great and you become better and better. The more you do, obviously, you become so good with the asanas that you feel that, yeah, you can do everything that the teacher is doing. And so now I can teach. And, but what the great teacher knows beyond the mat, nobody has try to find, and so it's become a very shallow kind of practice. But I'm not blaming anybody or anything for that. I'm just saying that the pull of yoga the feeling that you get at the end of a yoga practice is to blame, and you cannot blame it on yoga either. So and it's still a great beginning always. But I always say, if you just know the ABCs, you can sing most anything, Julie Andrews says, but then you can't keep singing ABCs, you just have to keep getting more, Yes, if you know the ABCs, you can sing most anything, but then you're still singing ABCs.
Yeah.
You need to do more. So that's where we are here in India also, and in the US also. We just want to grow a little bit more beyond just the mat, but the mat is always the beginning. We need that mat, we need that down dog, we need all of that. And so yeah, so it's the same everywhere, it's absolutely the same everywhere, but everyone needs to go a little bit
But
beyond.
did it grow quite a bit in the last 20 years, even in India, even though India is the birthplace of yoga? Did you see an expansiveness around people's interest in it in the last 20 years as you were opening studios? And
yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. It was the same boom. In fact, I think the boom happened first from India, where a lot of Westerners would come to India and practice, and then started in the US. And then it became where India started again imitating the West. India, not only India, many of the countries, for that matter, would imitate the West for music, for fashion, for, so many things. And since yoga started, the West started imbibing yoga also became one of the things that back to the world, and they started imitating that. So in one way or the other, it came back to India, and then it became more popular. And of course, illnesses, what is it called, lifestyle diseases, all of that also started growing more and more. And people realized that hardcore exercising, weightlifting, or some of the things were more injurious for them, especially if they had health problems. And so yoga seemed to be the one that the doctors also started recommending, a milder practice, a little bit more for the mind. Stress relief started, showing up as one of the cause for everything. And so meditation, pranayama, all of those things started getting recommended by doctors. And so yoga became more and more popular. And now it's almost equal the way it has been, uh, you know, proliferated in the entire culture of uh, the whole world. It's very similar.
Yeah. Can you talk about kind of obviously this is your purpose on this earth, right? To share your knowledge and educate and to work with people. What can you talk about what you see with your clients and in your classes, and what the impact is and kind of the ripple effect of a yoga practice out into the community that you've witnessed during your career?
Yeah, I have taught longer in India. I have just started getting, active here after I moved. But see, we missed that part where we went to India, and then that's where I, took more time to learn India and start yoga studios and teach. And then we came back to India, so we haven't finished that.
you came back to the United
Of
States.
the US, I'm sorry, yeah.
Came to Iowa
Well,
City, and you
yes,
walked into my studio, and right away we
right.
had this beautiful connection, and you started to teach at Heartland. So yeah,
Right, right. And so this is strange even for people in India, for anyone that I tell them that this is what happened and we are back in the US after 15 years of being in India. And so that's what happened. The children grew up and then they wanted to come to the US to study further for college.
Okay.
And so just like how we went to India to be with our parents, as parents, now we came back with the kids to be with the kids. And so that's what brought us here. Okay. And so to answer Kate's question now, about the effect of yoga with the community. I did have a lot more experience teaching in yoga, and when we moved to the US, I've just about started getting busy with teaching yoga in the US. In India, it became again a way of life, and you know, uh, like you said, it's not the purpose of my life to teach yoga. My purpose of life is to show my gratitude to my teachers, Kate, if I may put it that way. So I've had some of the best teachers in the whole world, with respect to Vedanta or with respect to Sanskrit, with respect to, yoga itself, the physical practice. I've had some of the best teachers in the whole world. And so my purpose of life is to to be a vessel, to be a messenger, to be a medium, to continue spreading the knowledge of yoga. Yoga itself is knowledge that has been given to us from great teachers, great seers, great sages, wise people. So I have to continue that line, that um, you know, the continuation of how it is moved on, passed on to other generations. So that is my purpose of life. And so that's what I'm doing. And, you will not see immediate results, but you will see that within that half an hour, you will see that great result in their body and their physiology. But coming back for that experience, and each class giving just a little bit of further information, a little more than just a strong practice that makes you feel exhilarated, that also makes you think. That's where I think I make small changes, when I beckon people to close their eyes and just watch their breath, listen to their breath. And then I keep giving small information that there's a lot more than just practicing yoga. I think that's the only difference that I bring. And, I know some of my students will keep coming back. They will drop anything that they possibly can to attend a class. And, I think when people realize, oh, this is a different type of practice. I always tell them I'm a little bit of a purist, little bit of a traditionalist. I cannot start a class without an Om chant. And I will say Namaste in my in my yoga class. But I tell them, it's nothing religious, but I practice this. I have always been teaching the same way. I don't use music, you know, and I don't always feel that um, a good class is something that brings a variety of postures. So much creativity and new things all the time. That's not how a practice is. I will keep practicing the trikonasana, a basic triangle pose, all my life, and I will teach the same. But then each day, depending on what you think, how you breathe, and how what you go deeper into in that trikonasana is what matters, and not just that trikonasana. So these are some of the changes that I bring, and the changes that I kind of tell my students also, that it doesn't have to be, so creative all the time. The old things, same things is just fine. And it's much beyond the.
Practice different day, different mind, body. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I wanted to ask you, because I agree that after even 30 minutes, someone can walk out and feel some kind of transformation. And then I always say, but yoga doesn't have a very long half-life. It goes away, which is why you have to keep at it. And you have to keep practicing. And clearly, the more you commit to the practice, the more you gain. And I've never asked you this in all the conversations we've had. What do you think has been the most profound shift in you personally from your commitment to practice, which would be, asana, breath work, meditation, the lifestyle pieces of yoga, the food choices? Like, what do you think? I mean, because you actually, even though you started as a child, you didn't come back around to it until after you'd had children and done other things and moved to the US. like now that you've been committed to it for these last 15, 20 years, what do you think has shifted in you?
See, before you ask this question, I don't think I have sat and thought to find out what yoga has done for me and what things have changed. I only know that I cannot think of a life without yoga because my life is, again, not that yoga for 1 hour on the mat. So, if I may even dare to say a little bit, that for me, yoga is something that is 24/7, even when I sleep. And so, when it is like that, it's very hard to, see what is that change and what is it going to be next. In other words, I do live in the moment. I live in the moment. And for me, the biggest change is the ability to live in the moment.
Mm.
That's the biggest change.
Big one.
Maybe there was a time, yeah, maybe there was a time when I used to worry about, what others say, what others think. But I have not had a moment where I regretted anything so much because yoga has always helped me see the present is what matters. The past is past. We don't know the future. It's just the present. So you breathe, you live, and you live within the tenets of yoga where there's no ahimsa, there is no violence, there is no, harming other people. And so that continues and that just flows on. There is no stopping there to reflect to see, oh, how far have I come? Where am I going to go? I don't have time for that. I've never even thought about it, Betsy. I'm so sorry.
Fascinating. I mean, it's a typical psychologist question, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it speaks, your answer speaks volumes about your practice, which is it just keeps anchoring me into the present moment. And when I'm in the present moment, it's just all unfolding in front of me. And I mean, that's a brilliant answer, right? Like that's what it's taught me, how to be present, and how many of
Yeah.
us
And
need more practice and learning to be here now versus being stuck in stories of the past or worries for the future. So
Yeah.
I mean, that is
The moment.
that is the truth. Yeah. And I cannot, glorify anything further, even though I'd like to answer you with a brilliant answer. I'm like, no, that's the truth. I have not thought about it, and I'm not going to think any further. So that is just me, for good or for bad.
Well, and I've only been around you a few times, Uma, but your energy is so, I mean, it like comes right through the screen as we're talking to you. And there is a lightness about you that I think also your energy reflects that you are, and when you're talking to someone, you are so connected in talking with someone. I just want to say that I observe that being in your presence, that you are very present uh, when you're around
Thank you.
people.
Thank you. And yeah, it's the same thing that I found with Betsy also. And just imagine, yeah, we had been communicating, that I had sent her an email or to Kimberly that I'm interested in teaching or I've been teaching, and she saw everything. And she knows, all my qualifications and the number of years I have taught, different types I have taught. Everything was there. But the moment we met, I don't think we remembered any of that. I saw Betsy, she saw Uma. She's just, that's it. And everything started from there, from the moment we met. And it was never the resume or the bio or all my experience. And that's what I found when I met Betsy. That's just that one moment. It was only eyes and the depth of the eyes for both of us. And that's how our friendship has blossomed with no conditions, no what is it, history, nothing at all. And yeah, thank you for mentioning
no, I
that,
love
Kate,
that.
because
I love that, Uma, because I agree there that capacity to drop in and just really feel into someone's energy and field, which I do think also that comes with yoga as you just become a more sensitive human.
Right.
Sort of love at first sight for both of us. We're like, oh, I know this course. We dropped in very.
Love at first sight through the eyes? I don't think so. I think it was beyond the eyes. I can say that now.
Exactly. That's right. Beyond those.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Uma, let's talk about this partnership that we are working on that we're actually really excited about. We're going to do a 200-hour yoga teacher training at Heartland starting January of 2026. There are teacher trainings all over, everywhere. There's so many of them. We've actually never offered one at Heartland, even though we've been around coming up on 18 years, mostly because it felt like there were so many everywhere else. Why add more? But I had a change of heart. And I think actually it was even after meeting you and feeling your passion and your commitment and just your depth of knowledge around this practice. And also this growing awareness that mental health stuff is on the rise and distractibility is on the rise. And yoga is such a beautiful practice for managing the mind. And so we decided, let's do a teacher training that is maybe different than your average one. So yeah, what do you want to add about that?
Yeah. So yoga practice is popular. Yoga teachers are also so popular, and popular meaning they are recognized, one way or the other, and they meet people. They are so much, what is it called, spread out into the community so deeply that everyone knows a new 15 or 20 of them through their, yoga practice and teaching. And so yoga teachers are some of the greatest influencers. Oh, I'm sorry for using that word, but, much, much before all the social media and everyone calling themselves an influencer, yoga teachers have been some of the greatest influencers because they have such a positive effect. They bring out the best in everybody on the mat, at least during that time. And the connection continues to be a very sattvic, a very pure one, on a very different level than just going out for a beer or going out for a dance or going out for, that's completely different. All is fine, but yoga teachers, the power of yoga teachers. And so the yoga teacher training, even though I have done so many while we were in India, to the extent that there was almost every yoga practitioner became a yoga teacher. But when I came here and met you, and that's when I said, since you have the idea of yoga for the mind so clear, and you all already share your knowledge with so many of your students through your yoga for the mind program, and even some of my other teachers from India also will agree that people who limit yoga teacher training and yoga practice to the physical body are doing a grave, thing for yoga. And so when the mind element is included, then we are talking, about something that's worth sharing. And so that's why I said, maybe we should do a YTT to include a lot more, history, philosophy, along with the other yoga teacher trainings that's already available, that spend so much time on physiology, physicality, anatomy, stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it. After so many yoga teacher trainings, I am so excited about this because of your input, your element, and your, presence in the program. And the two of us together bringing so much from our, experience and knowledge that we have gained through modern psychology, Western psychology, and the Indian, yogic psychology and philosophy. I just cannot think enough. I'm
And I'm
really
so
excited.
excited to have you,
Yeah.
someone who studied with some of the great Indian yogis and has such a traditional vantage point. I think it's just going to be a really beautiful combination. And we're also co-teaching this with Kimberly Yeager Argis, who is been, at Heartland for 10 plus years and is a gifted teacher and very focused on social activism. So we're going to be tying a lot of pieces together as yoga as a way to really transform our minds and clearly our bodies, and then maybe even take it out into transforming the world. So
Right.
I can't wait to study with all three
Kate's
of you.
going to do it
I
with
am.
us. So.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And Kate, I have to tell you this. When Betsy mentioned Kimberly, I attended Kimberly's class first, and that's how I knew how good a teacher Betsy must be. Even before I met Betsy, I attended Kimberly's class, and that's a great thing here because the importance and the greatness of you as a teacher will come through your students. So if you want to know how good a teacher is, you just listen to their students. And that's where, yeah, you talk to the student first. You don't even go approach the teacher first. Here is a traditional thing for you. And so when I met Kimberly and attended a class, I said, I know how good Betsy must be. And then we met. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we end, Uma. Yeah, this just makes me so excited about getting to spend 1 week in a month with you come January. We always end our podcast with a question, which comes from a book. I don't know if you've read this book. It's called Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's a kind of Jungian mythology book with lots of ancient story, which I think is very parallel with yoga because there's lots of ancient story and myth in the yoga tradition. This particular author is a psychologist, Clarissa Pinkola Estes, and she talks about this wild woman archetype. And I see it in you. You already said in the beginning,
so much.
You were the Tasmanian devil who wanted to run around and had to stay still and breathe when your father was teaching you yoga. So this author in particular asks, she believes there's 4 different doors that can take us into our life as a wild woman. And I would say Kate and I would define it as just a more authentic woman, like a woman who's sort of following her own path versus following a path that was set out for her by someone else. And so she's always the one who takes us through these 4 doors, but we want to know which door, Uma, you maybe ventured through to become the wild woman that you are today.
Yeah. So here are the doors. So listen and see which one resonates most with you, Uma. If you have a deep scar, that is a door. If you have an old story, that is a door. If you love the sky and the water so much you can almost not bear it, that is a door. And if you yearn for a deeper life, a full life, a sane life, that is a door. So is there one that you feel drawn to?
I like the third door for whatever reason. Even though I'm not a water person, the idea of the sky takes everything, precedence over everything else that you I don't even remember anything else that you said. Scar? Definitely not. No way. And the last one was just too deep. I am just totally free. I am too free, and the sky is the only word that I want to, think of, and that is enough for me.
I love that.
The door, sky and water.
And your
What do you think?
childhood was a lot about being out near water in the sky, deep sky. So
Oh, maybe that too. Yeah, I don't know how you interpret this, but you showed me 4 doors, and it's the sky for me.
I saw her lights light.
I know.
My eyes light up when we said that third door.
Really?
Yeah. I love too that you've also described yourself as wild and free. You've described yourself to me many times before. And so that idea of the open air and the wildness and the ability just to fly free makes so much sense for you. So
Right.
You are a beautiful soul, my friend.
Thank you. I would like to hear more about the 4 doors. when I meet you for
Well,
class.
I'm gonna bring you the book.
Yeah, nice. Sure, sure. I'd love to. I'd love to.
Thank you so much,
So-
Uma. And for any listeners who are curious about joining Uma and myself and Kimberly and Kate, who's going to be in this course, we would love to have you join, and we'll put all the information in the show notes below. Thank you, dear Uma, for gracing us with your wisdom and your presence mostly, because now we know you're always in the present moment with us. So we can feel that.
Indeed.
Thank you, Uma.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Namaste. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. Come back and rewild with us again next week.